mount position is one of the three major pins that I teach my students when I'm dealing with somebody not familiar with grappling. Like our other pins, side control, and the back, we're gonna have variations on the position, different ways that we'll line up, but for the way I teach, I divide it up: mount, side positions, and back positions. So when we are here, we are looking to settle in with our two knees and shins on both sides of our opponent. Turn for me. So we need our legs to be on the sides of our opponent or partner's body, outside of the control of his legs. If I'm stuck down in here with a foot or a half guard, a thigh, then I'm not to the mount position, even though I might be on top of somebody. So this is a top position, but it is not a mount, and it is not even a pin, because his legs are between me and knee shield, can form effective barriers that prevent me from actually holding him down to the floor. So when I have found myself in the mount position, what I'm usually looking for is to get high up with my hips crowding as close as they can comfortably and with base near his shoulder line. The higher up I can get, the more I take my weight away from his hips. And when he tries to bridge and lift his hips, it doesn't move me nearly as much as if I were sat back here. Back here, every inch that his hips lift off the floor, go ahead, move me with him. There's no difference between his hip movement and my hip movement, because I'm settled directly on top of that whole engine that's driving through the feet. When I'm high, my partner goes to bridge up, and it moves me a lot less. It doesn't move me none at all, but it definitely moves me a lot less and gives me more opportunity to keep the position without having to base out and commit my hands wide. There are a lot of different grips and connections that I can form on my partner's body when they are underneath of me from the mount. But the main two connections that I'm looking for are my crossface, where I reach under the head on the same side that the arm is coming from. I anchor down somewhere on this shoulder on the other side, still reaching underneath of the head. And then I apply a shoulder pressure across the face. That's where the name comes from. So I'm applying this pressure, and what this does is this turns the spine in a certain direction and limits his movement options. Most of our movements that lead to escape turn us in the direction of the escape. So when I turn the face away from this side, I have limited his ability to escape in that direction. Now, our second connection that we're going to look at as we get into the mount is going to be our underhook. And at the end of the day, it kind of serves the same function as that crossface, but it does it in a different way. So this stops him from turning in that general direction, but this underhook prevents him from forming a knee-elbow connection that he might use. Can you shrimp to the inside here? To connect knee and elbow inside of my leg, where he can now start fighting back to a guard. Go ahead and push your way through. And now I'm on the other side of his legs, having to fight this entire battle all over again to get back to my pin. So grips, a lot of times, are gonna be at the wrist, because that's like the main lever point that's available to me here. I can mess with the head some, but grips, messing with these hands, trying to take them away from the face and the center line. But then as that goes on, I'm generally looking for that cross face and that underhook, which turns him to this side and then chops away at the options that he has on this side. So here he has 100% defensive potential. Here he has 50. I've taken away that whole side of escape. So he's gonna wanna do the best thing on this side and connect knee and elbow, but I've intercepted it with this connection down here, my underhook, under the tricep. When we are doing an underhook from mount, it's going to be a little bit different than our underhook from standing. If you watched that video, there we were anchoring to the shoulder and using that to lever the elbow up. Here, because we have the mat for friction and gravity to help us feel heavier and stronger, we're more so going to be walking our hand up the mat to bring his arm high, as opposed to holding on and levering our elbow like so. It's going to be a little bit more of an attack directly at his elbow, as opposed to anchoring on the body and then levering our way into it. As for transitions from this position, the best one is moving from mount to the back. But the first one that you're probably going to need is the idea of dismounting when things go wrong. And we'll get into specific techniques on it, but a lot of times people get this tunnel vision on a position and they settle in and they go, I'm staying in mount whether you kill me or not. It doesn't matter what happens. And because of that, they get rolled to their back really easily. They get escaped from, because they're so focused on this one position that they're giving up a ton of other things. So when I'm down here in this mount and I start to feel that my partner's escaping, we're gonna have a few different ways where we bring ourselves off of the mount safely, whether we move off to a side control or a knee on belly type position. But what I'm doing is I'm offloading my hips from his body and generally creating a new wedge, either with my shin, or if I'd wound up in side control, with my thigh and hip and ribs, that prevents his legs from coming back into this situation. If I wound up in mount, I'm most likely past the guard, and that's not always an easy task. So if I got all the way here, I want to do what I can to, instead of fighting with everything in me to keep that position, because that's my win in my head, I need to consider what the actual win was, which was passing this guard. If I'm past the hips, I can settle into numerous different top pins. I don't have to have a favorite or get too focused on one that I can't see the rest of the things that are available to me. Now, on a more proactive side, I'm usually, when I'm in the mount, attacking a couple submissions, sure, but most of them are with the same backdrop that we had when we were talking about dismounting, of I'm not getting carried away and having a preference of, oh, this is my favorite submission. I've got to fight for this until I get rolled to my back and I wind up playing guard again and now he's on top of me. No, when I'm in the mount, I want to be constantly looking for opportunities to get myself outside of my opponent's elbow and move my way around towards his back. Whether that is by baiting him into crossing this arm over on his own and bringing myself back and behind, or forcing the arm up overhead and then starting to take the back from there. As for submissions, from the mount, I only do a few different attacks. Like we just talked about, I'm mostly aiming towards the back. I don't want an extensive system that's like impossible to keep up with for myself. I need a few good, successful options from every position, and I need to be familiar with the other things that could happen that aren't necessarily in my system, but might come my way during a match. For me, always aiming to get behind the elbow into the back, I'm looking for submissions that also include bringing his arm across his body. First and foremost, I like to teach an Americana. Not because this in particular brings the arm across the body, but because a lot of times it forces his defensive reaction where he reaches over to help himself, and I wind up behind the elbow, which puts me on the back. I also teach an arm triangle, where as I get behind the elbow, I check this connection to see if it's tight enough to get the finish. If it is, great, I don't have to keep working. If not, I've made him terribly miserable and very likely to allow me to get control over the arm and continue getting behind the shoulder. As I work one side up, we're gonna eventually shift gears from just moving straight to the back to moving deeper and deeper into really unfortunate and uncomfortable controls for this guy on the bottom. Namely, double underhooks where I start bringing the arms up and across and control both of them. As we move into that position, so I'm under, I start scooping. As we start finding our chest wrap, yep, cool. As we start finding ourselves in this chest wrap, I can move myself up and start attacking his arms on one side or the other. We're gonna have great attacks on both sides from here, but this is one of those variations on the mount that we talked about. A lot of people call this S mount because my legs kind of form an S as they coil and wrap around his shoulder unit. And we have plenty of other submissions that we're gonna look at from this position. Things like triangles are a big favorite of mine, where I get over the arm and start moving my way in to get finishes up here. But even in this situation, I would start moving myself outside of the elbow so that if this falls apart, I'm that much closer to the back. On the bottom, for my defense, I want to start mentally reverse engineering all of the things that when I was on top working out this position that I wanted for myself. So he wants knees high up in my armpits, so I'm going to keep my elbows close to my body and make that space hard to access. My hands are either going to frame at the hips as I try to get elbows inside of his knees to help keep framing his pin away from me, his control, so he doesn't climb up high towards my shoulders. Or my hands might be defending the crossface as he tries to come under the chin. I'm blocking that control and not allowing him to move and pressure my head from one direction to another. So I'm controlling either his shoulder unit, which is what this crossface and maybe a shoulder post will do for you, controlling shoulders, or I'm trying to control hips. Now, as we move on from there, obviously there are going to be other things going on. He's going to be gripping me, trying to get certain submissions. I need to be fighting his grips away, not just allowing him to take strong, heavy 2-on-1 grips and pin them to the floor. As we settle into these pins, you're going to want to chill out, relax, and catch your breath for a second. As Aziz, go ahead and just like lift this knee like you're about to settle in. As my opponent's settling into mount, this is not rest time. This is not, all right, shell up and just kind of like catch your breath. This is go time. The next 10 seconds are going to determine how the next 2 minutes go. If you lay here and allow him to just get his underhook, get his crossface while you go, oh, well, I'm just fighting for mount either way, it doesn't really make a difference, you're wrong. You're fighting from a way different mount. This mount is manageable. Crossface underhook. This mount is just the worst thing in the world. I can't full elbow down to my knee. I can't turn to try to roll him in this direction. And because I can't pull this elbow down towards my body, I can't turn in that direction either. So I'm stuck. I'm pancaked under here, and it is not fun. So I want to make sure that I'm not allowing him to just assert dominance right away. When we get here, he is also fighting a mental battle. He just fought to get here. He's tired too. We can both rest for 20 seconds, but at the end of that, he's going to be in a spot where he gets to rest for the next 2 minutes, and I'm going to be in a spot where I'm dying for that same time. As our defense turns into escape, we're generally looking to either get our hips out from the outside or from the inside. Back up. And by doing so, we form a guard, and then we're ready to fight back even if we wind up on the bottom. Another way that we might go about escaping is by trapping posts, taking his base away, and rolling him to a bottom position, where now we can start to break or escape and pass his guard and take our own top pin. Most tournaments will score the mount for 4 points, and you will be able to stack that with your pass if you are able to pass straight to the mount. There's plenty of more technical ways that it'll happen, but just as a really rough example, let's assume that our partner's got dead fish legs, and we can just put their feet on the floor. If you're a white belt, always give that a try. You would be surprised how many people will actually let you do that. But back to the point. Here, then I drop down, the referee starts counting, and then I get my pass points with my mount points at the same time. Now, similar to our passing or our takedowns, the referee is going to count this out, 1, 2, 3, and what he's usually looking for is both of my knees to be down on the floor. So if I'm hanging out here, or he's got my foot trapped inside, that's another thing that will prevent you. I might have my knee down, but if my foot, any part of my leg is still stuck inside of his guard, they won't count points for you. It's not until I get that foot out and I fully take mount that the referee will start counting out for you and then award you your points. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. We got a lot more planned.